everyone, and welcome back to the Content Mix. I'm Carlota Pico, your host for today's show, and I'm excited to be here today with Payal Raina, who is Global Head of Marketing at Torstone Technology, which she'll tell us more about soon. And apart from that, she also lectures in marketing, is a thought leader and influencer within the Fintech industry, a mother of two, and she also has nearly 2 decades of experience in B2B marketing. I mean, your hands must be so full, Pyle. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on the Content Mix. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me here. Pleasure is mine.
Thank you again. Okay, Pyle, well, let's talk about business. Tell me about yourself. How did you get into marketing in the first place?
Sure. So when I was growing up as a child, I was fascinated by how consumers were influenced by looking at AdWords, seeing billboards, advertising on the TV, in the magazines, in books, and how that impacted buyers' behavior in buying any product or service. And that was always something made me curious that a function or a job can have so much influence that can make people change their mind into doing something or into buying a product or solution. And that became one of the biggest motivators for me to start thinking about my career in marketing. So I did my undergrad and then postgrad and my MBA in marketing. And hence today, here I am as a marketing professional sitting in front of you.
Pyle, so you have nearly 2 decades of experience in B2B marketing. Could you walk me down memory lane? What did those nearly 2 decades look like?
Sure, yeah, it's been a while ago, but I started my marketing journey working for a leading global software company called Microsoft. So that was back in Toronto, Canada, a number of years ago. So I worked for Microsoft. Thereafter, I worked for General Electric, GE Capital Solutions. Moved to UK and I worked for a number of other GE companies, worked for Barclays Bank, and then I was heading marketing for the EMEA and Americas area for a payment tech company. And in my recent role, I am a global head of marketing for Torstone Technology.
Okay, wow. And now looking back on your experience, I was reading an article the other day that said that qualities are actually more important than skills because skills can be acquired over time. You can be trained in different skills. You can educate yourself in different skills. But qualities, you're really born with qualities. So looking back on your experience, if you had to hire somebody now for your current role, what type of qualities would you look for in that person?
Sure. So in terms of qualities, I would say the first and foremost important thing is being a people's person. And that is a very important quality, especially somebody to be in marketing. Given marketing I see it as the heart of an organization, and we have to collaborate and partner with a number of different departments, such as products, sales, commercial team, customer service teams, technology teams. So, having that quality of being a people's person, kind of listening to them, understanding their needs, understanding the requirements, and bringing those all together back into and translating that into your marketing strategy and plan. That is one of the key and an important quality, I would say.
So, Pyle, you obviously bring a lot of qualities to Torstone Technology. And before we get into what Torstone Technology is actually about, I'd love to learn about your everyday. What's your everyday look like?
Great question. Every day is it brings new challenges and brings new excitement because being an international marketer and heading marketing from a global standpoint, it is very exciting. So I'm responsible for managing, developing, and executing from anything from brand to communications, work with my team on the PR side, looking at doing exciting digital campaigns. So it's pretty full on, I must say. But the best part of my job is that given I am managing different geographies, so UK, Europe, Nordics, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Toronto, New York. It's really exciting to see the cultural differences and the regional differences from a marketing standpoint for all those different regions. At the end of the day, you're selling probably the same product, which is customized to that customer or that particular region, but how you adapt your marketing, how you adapt your strategy, and how you can become very personalized and localized in your approach. I think that's one of the challenge, and which is a good challenge, I would say, to have, and something I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah, Payal, that response actually resonates really well with me because in my former life, I used to advise governments on their PR strategy overseas to help them acquire more investment to their different sectors. And it was much more about helping them to understand their end client and to talk to their end client in the way that their end client wants to be talked to or talked about than more about what that country had to say about themselves. So your response definitely resonates with me in terms of how fascinating culture can be and the role that it plays in communication and in marketing. Okay, so now tell me a little bit about Torstone Technology. What is Torstone Technology?
Sure. So at Torstone, we are a leading cloud-based post-trade technology company offering SaaS solutions to sell-side firms, so looking into investment banks and institutional brokers, and we're helping them to reduce their total cost of ownership, minimize their risk, and help drive their operation efficiency.
Okay, very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to take a very current event, which is COVID 19, and apply it to marketing, of course. COVID 19 has affected consumer behavior, and the world has affected consumer behavior because the world is constantly changing. It's not only COVID 19 that has impacted our marketing strategies, it's everything that impacts our marketing strategy, right? Because we live in a really fast paced world. Actually, according to Adobe, 40% of financial service organizations said that keeping up with changing customer expectations and behavior is a key challenge. So, taking that to Torstone Technology level, because I understand that Torstone Technology is a spin-off of a global investment bank, what opportunities and also challenges has that presented to you when it comes to communicating with your customers?
Sure. So, given Torstone Technology was built for and by a global investment bank, the first and foremost opportunity it brought from a marketing standpoint was that as a company, we had a deeper understanding of the requirements of our clients' challenges, their pain points, what are they looking for. So that kind of gave us an edge, and absolutely it was key for us from a marketing standpoint because that means we could very well relate to our clients and engage with them. That's absolutely key, especially from a customer experience perspective. Number two opportunity, I would say, is given the size of a company, we are an SME fintech company. And what that means is that it gives us agility. We can turn around things really quicker, faster. We're an agile, nimble company. And that means, unlike larger corporate organization, which it can take them, like 12 or 24 months to make to do a deployment or an implementation. We have had a quickest one of our implementation from inception to go live has been 3 months.
Wow.
So we have been breaking boundaries here and creating some new industry standard benchmarks, which has been absolutely fantastic. And then the third, I would say, is given as a cloud-based post-trade technology company, most of the banks and institutional firms are still using legacy platform in a very siloed environment. So we as a company who are much more younger, much more dynamic company, we can offer them that modern new architecture and platform, which will help them to reduce their cost, help them to be operationally more efficient, and help them to be agile when they are actually dealing with their clients. So that's kind of more from the opportunities perspectives. Looking at from the challenges side, I would say as a company of like Torstone, one of the challenges I found when I joined the company a few years ago was that we had a really low brand awareness, and what that means is that although we had great product, we had great offering. But when it actually came to people knowing about who we were and what we did, not many people knew that. And that was a very interesting for me to find out when I joined the company and I was new in this role. I was like, we have been doing some of the fantastic work, but not many people knew about this. So the way I would describe it was that we were the best kept hidden secret in the market. So I took that challenge on board, and it was, to be honest, a great challenge to have because we had a fantastic story to tell to the market, and I consider myself uh, as a chief storyteller to connect with the audience. And since 3 years, I must say, business has been growing over 50% year on year. We have been hiring. We opened a new office last year in October in Toronto. Now we have got 6 offices globally. We smashed our sales target last year. We have got a really good and strong pipeline this year. We are hiring new people in our different offices. So things have been going really well for us.
Kyle, so you're in a winning situation because you're part of a bank that has a long history, that is a legacy, and that already has a pretty good grasp on its customers' needs and behaviors. But at the same time, you're an SME, so you have the agility and the speed of an SME, and you're able to bring to market products that traditional banks would probably take 4 times as long to bring to the market. Is that a correct assessment?
No, that's absolutely spot on, because I think I would say we have kind of had the best of both worlds. So fantastic product, and then as you perfectly described it, the agility and speed to get to our clients as quickly as possible.
Okay, excellent. Well, I am going to zoom into customer experience because since you have nearly 2 decades of experience working with customers, I think it's a perfect subject to zoom into. Customer experience starts with the world and the problems that people face. And as a CX expert, how does a fintech company figure out how to get from where they are to where they want to be?
That's a great question, and it's always uh, it depends on your business model. It depends on your company. It depends where your company is within that customer experience life cycle. So there isn't kind of a one size fits all kind of a magic pill that I can say. But however, based on my experience, there are 3 key things businesses, fintech companies should be mindful of when they're thinking of their customer experience. So first and foremost is it's really important to have your CX strategy and plans. It's always starting with your strategy and plan. That's like having kind of your first base point. Look and do an audit in your organization. Look about what initiatives you've already taken in your companies to improve that customer experience. And also think about, have you defined that customer experience? What does it actually mean to about people talk about customer experience, and and there are loads of advice out there, but it's about kind of, first of all, defining what that customer experience means. And it's not just one or department kind of making that decision, but it has to be a collaborative team effort where it's like your customer success team, your marketing team, your sales team, your commercial team, your product team. So you all kind of you're coming together to help define that customer experience. So that would be my first advice, is to make sure there is an alignment, an agreement on what that customer experience looks like. Make sure that gets fed into your strategy and plan. That's very important. And even more importantly, make sure you have that customer roadmap. We have got business roadmap, you have got your product roadmap, but have you got the CX roadmap for your organization? That's something important to consider. Number 2, the second thing I would say is look at the technology. So once you've kind of defined your strategy, now it's more thinking about from the marketing operations perspective, is what technologies how are you using from a marketing standpoint? Because like myself, I'm sure other marketers out there, we all are using so many technologies right now. Like you've got a CRM technology, you've got a marketing automation, you might have an email, you've got a social media monitoring tool. So there might be like tons of platforms which we are using in order to reach out to our clients and providing them that omni-channel experience. But the question is, are those technologies talking to each other? So that's going to be quite key to see kind of where you are from a technology standpoint. Are they siloed? Are they disconnected? To be honest, some of the people I've spoken to in my network, you would be surprised. 7 out of 10 people say, you know what, our CRM system doesn't talk to our marketing automation system. And in fact, that happened with me recently, and very interesting experience. where a vendor called me and they said, "Hey, Payal, we know you are going to be giving a talk in that at an event, so we would love to connect with you." So they dropped me an email. Then they sent me another email to follow up. And after a third email, I was like, you know what? That looks really interesting. Let me pick up a phone and talk to their salesperson. So I had a really good conversation with their salesperson, and he was like, "That's great. We'll send you a proposal, Payal." And all seemed going fairly well until like literally next day I received an email from the marketing saying, "Sorry, we haven't heard from you from last couple of weeks, so sorry to see you go, and not sure if you're falling in a ditch or something has happened to you." And when I read that email, I was like, "Oh my god, it's clearly like their CMS system and their CRM system, their marketing automation, they all are not kind of linked together. So it wasn't a great customer experience. In fact, they lost me as their prospect." So yeah, so that would be my second tip. And my third tip would be look at your data. That's quite important when you're thinking about customer experience, that what type of data have you got currently, how clean the data is, the quality of data is important. And then also looking at what insights you can derive of that data, because it's great to have all those numbers, but how can you use that data to improve your client behavior, to improve your client experience? What is that data saying to you? So in summary, I would say your having the right technology, having the data, and importantly, starting the strategy and plan are the three key secret ingredients for ensuring that you are kind of moving ahead in the right direction
Okay.
to offer seamless CX.
Those are fantastic tips and also great advice. So basically, when I worked at different companies, I've had like different personas, right? So like the customer experience is different according to what that customer wants. So you can also apply those different steps to each customer, like create a persona around your customer and then an experience that that particular customer will enjoy.
Yes, true. Yeah, it has to be personalized, because that's about, as you kind of touched a good point here, is a personalization. And that plays a really important role when you're offering that customer experience. So as much granular, as much detail we can kind of go at the persona level, the better it is. And again, it depends on your organization, the size of the organization. Of course, bigger organizations have got more budget, more resources to do that research. But yeah, you're spot on. That persona level personalization is absolutely relevant.
Okay, Pyle, what are a few CX trends fintech companies can bank on?
The top three trends I see is, the first and foremost is using cloud-based technology, because the point which I mentioned earlier about having that disconnected silos market martech, given there are so many technology options out there, cloud is absolutely key in today's pandemic global environment, especially for businesses to keep their costs low, and making sure they are offering that flexibility, reliability to their clients, and they have got a backup from a disaster recovery perspective. So the first tip I would say is cloud-based technology. That's one of the key trends which I feel fintech businesses should be banking upon. The second and important one is building emotional connection. Like, end of the day, we are dealing with humans, and that was kind of one of your questions you asked in the beginning about the quality I'm looking for person marketing role. So it is about building with people, connecting with humans, even though they are buyers, but they have people with emotions. So what I would say is, the second trend I see is having those technologies which are helping us to detect human emotions is going to be absolutely the game changer. Now, the bigger organizations, not just within the finance and technology, like, if we kind of look at from a in general, in industry perspective, they have been investing in the emotional detector tools, and they used to be quite of a secret weapon for those companies. For example, example, Disney or Kellogg's or Unilever, for example, these companies have been using these emotional detection tool for adapting their products, for even hiring employees. For example, Unilever for hiring employees, they have been using those tools. So that's something for fintech companies need to be looking at from an adoption perspective. I don't see there's much adoption on a fintech side for these tools, but that's something we should be really thinking to bank upon. And then the third trend. Is it's not a new thing now. It's been here for a long time. It's that continue to offer that omni-channel experience. Now, COVID is a great example to kind of actually highlight how digital or online platform have taken precedence over the offline channel. So companies who have been investing in the omni-channel experience, making sure they're touching a customer from all the multiple marketing touch points, those companies have survived in this pandemic, whilst those companies who have not adopted the omni-channel experience approach in their marketing strategy and plan are the ones who had to actually just completely change their marketing strategy and plan when this COVID happened, because they were not prepared for it, given they were focusing on just one or two channels rather than spreading their bets out. So yeah, so those would be my top three trends I would predict for companies to look out for.
Okay, excellent. I actually have here a Gartner study that revealed the 2020 trends and beyond for fintech companies, emerging technologies, basically. So they say that 53% of emerging technologies will be based on artificial intelligence. 39% will be based on virtual customer assistants and chatbots. So again, engaging with your customers, reaching out to their emotions, trying to tap into those emotions and talking to them on a one-to-one level. And 37% will be, like what you said, omni-channel engagement solutions. Okay, so I'm assuming that you're constantly collecting customer feedback. Once it's collected, what do you do with that feedback afterwards?
Sure. The customer feedback is absolutely gold for us, because that helps us to drive our business model forward, and that kind of then cascades down into different departments. So what do we do with that customer feedback? We do, like, there are so many things we do. So first of all, that helps and informs our product roadmap, which is quite important for a tech company like Torstone, to making sure that we are ahead of the curve and we are always innovating, and we are looking at what are our customers looking for, so we can adapt our solutions as per their requirements. So from a product standpoint, that plays a key role. The second thing is, as I mentioned, from a business standpoint, it informs our business strategy and plans. What are the things which are really important for our clients? And that helps us to give that strategic focus and bent about where we should be investing. And that gives us an outside in view, because as a company from inside, we might be thinking, oh, we should be thinking about investing in X, Y, and Z areas, but it's really handy to have that expertise. And importantly, from a marketing perspective, it is so useful, because this helps us to understand what are the areas they want us to improve upon. That's absolutely the key. It's about learning, adapting our marketing strategy, adapting our campaigns. So if you're doing any digital marketing campaigns, and we get a feedback on that, this campaign, we noticed that we didn't have many click rates, for example. And of course, that's more kind of going down at a tactical level. So we listen, we learn, and adapt. Those are the three key things we make sure we embed that in the Torstone business model. So we are a customer-centric company.
Okay, and that has proven to work really well for you so far, right? With those impressive numbers that you've been achieving year on year that you mentioned at the beginning of our interview. So I do want to take a step back now and look at your career on a whole. So could you walk me through some of your proudest marketing moments? What do those projects entail? What do those campaigns bring to the table that made them stand out? What was the purpose? Things like that.
So one of my, I've got a number of proudest moments to talk about, and purpose of this interview, and for the essence of time, I'm just going to pick a top one, and that was last year. I was being recognized as highly commended as a leader in marketing at a Global Women in Marketing Awards function. So that was that recognition was very close to my heart, and something I feel really proud of. And the reason that recognition came to me because my contribution in successfully helping and transforming and repositioning the Torstone Technology company, which it was perceived as a startup fintech business, to a global established leader within the period of 2 years' time, how the company's brand image and positioning was all revamped, played a huge contribution in the overall business success. As a result, as a company, we won a number of accolades, and we were also being recognized as one of the top 20 fintech companies in the business. So that's something I'm really proud of, yeah.
Wow, congratulations on that. I'm sure your management team must have loved to have been recognized as one of the top 20 leading fintech companies and yourself as one of the global marketing leaders. Congrats again. Okay, Payal. Well, we are coming towards the end of our interview, unfortunately. But before we wrap up, I do want to talk about a group that I saw that you recently created on LinkedIn. I understand that it's a B2B fintech marketing community, right? Could you tell me more about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've recently created an online community which is bringing together specialist marketers from financial and technology sectors together, because I was surprised that there are lots of fintech communities out there. There are lots of technology, banking communities out there for marketers. However, there wasn't any community that was bringing both camps of marketers together. And given we have so much to learn from each other, we have so much to kind of share insights, to network. I thought, if you want to be the change you want to see in the world, then you have to just drive it yourself. So I'm really delighted that I've created this community online on LinkedIn, and we are getting literally in the start of the journey in bringing specialist marketers together so we can share the ideas, we can talk about the customer challenges, because there's so much marketers working in banks and institutions and brokers can learn from fintech companies, which are much more smaller in size, much more agile. And there's so much fintech marketers can learn from marketers working within the financial space. So I'm really excited about this community. And the idea is to offer insights, help them in training, coaching, mentoring, and offer them that support marketers need in order to helping them in their journey to become that next generation of marketing leaders. So it's one of my personal passion projects, and I'm very close to my heart, and that kind of relates with some of my role as a thought leader and as a mentor and coach and teacher myself to help people in getting better at their craft.
Payal, I can definitely see how your face just lights up when you're talking about this community, and I can only wish you the best of luck. So, for all those fintech marketeers who are listening into us today, I'm going to leave the link on the blog article that will be writing about this interview so that they can also join you on your community on LinkedIn.
Great. Appreciate your support. No, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the energy that you put into this interview. And I also really appreciate the insights and the advice that you've offered to our audience. So thank you for joining us on the Content Mix.
Great. Pleasure is mine.
And to everybody listening in today, thank you for joining us on the Content Mix as well. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, check out the Content Mix. We'll be releasing interviews just like this one every day, so keep on tuning in. Have a fabulous day and see you next time. Bye.